So I'm thinking of you at 28, a trained medical doctor, an entrepreneur with Project Gorilla with investments in 41 companies. What was your dream when you were 18?
When I was 18, I had a very clear thing and my mom asked me, what will you do? I said, चाहे छोले भटूरे बेचूंगा, लेकिन ऐसे बेचूंगा कि हल्दीराम बन जाऊं.
Innovate was a co-working space. You sold it to Oyo. It was valued pretty early on at 200 crores. पर आप तब कितने 28 साल के थे?
I was 29 when I sold it.
What did money mean to you?
I'm a person, I don't care about money. Money for me is a lever to attain freedom. It is not an end goal. For me, money is important because I want to be free. The more free you are, the more happier you get. I realized that in India, there are so many people who stammer, who cannot say alphabets, and they're bullied for that.
Were you bullied?
Oh, massively.
जैसे क्या कहते थे बच्चे या older students?
So they used to every day come to my bench and in the school, and they used to say, "Teri mummy ka naam kya hai?" And I used to say Genu, and then they'll specifically give me words with a lot of R's. And then one day they told me that, okay, can you say a word which had like 3 R's? And then everyone used to laugh. So I just realized that this is such a big challenge, and if I do not overcome this, I will never ever be able to be a public speaker.
19 बारी propose किया.
हाँ, मतलब I like you किसी को बोला.
हाँ, मतलब कि you expressed interest in 19 women.
Yes. And all 19 said a no.
फिर?
And unfortunately they said a no.
But you can laugh about it today, but it must have felt terrible then.
Oh yes, absolutely. And I realized that helped me in accepting rejection.
You were 28, 28 साल के थे आप, जब आपने ऑलरेडी 41 कंपनीज में इन्वेस्ट कर चुके थे आप. So I'm thinking of you at 28, a trained medical doctor, an entrepreneur with Project Gorilla with investments in 41 companies. What was your dream when you were 18?
I think this is very interesting. One of the biggest flaws in our education system is that we are coerced and forced to think about what do we want to do when we are 18. In fact, when we are 15, in our 10th grades, we are told which all subjects do you want to take. And वहाँ पे सबसे बड़ा educational flaw आता है. I think we don't know what we want to do until and unless we experiment. When I was 18, I was very clear with one thing, that I want to build a business. And my mom asked me that, why would you want to do that? And we stay in a joint family. So my grandmother asked me that, your father is a doctor, you will be a doctor, your son will be a doctor. And just imagine the kind of compounding you will have, the trust with the patients you will have. And I said, but I don't want to be a doctor.
आपने बोला?
मैंने अच्छे से बोला. But unfortunately, I could not convince them. And being a conservative family, they forced me to become a doctor. I realized one thing, that if you want to be happy, follow your passion. And I think when I was 18, I had a very clear thing. And my mom asked me, what will you do? I said, चाहे छोले भटूरे बेचूंगा, लेकिन ऐसे बेचूंगा कि हल्दीराम बन जाऊं. I think that passion will only come. You will only be able to. You are a brilliant journalist. Why? Because you are passionate about this. You find joy in doing this. And typically speaking, one thing which I learned last month when I was in the US, someone told me. He said, we sit in a common board, and he said that, Ritesh, journey, if you remove all the letters and just have J, O, and Y. That's joy. So he said the journey is all about joy, and you will only find joy once you're so passionate about this thing that when this is happening, you don't care. When I built Innovate, I didn't care about whether my WhatsApp messages are coming, they're going. My only focus was, can I help Indian entrepreneurs find a space which is reasonable for them and that space which is so inspiring where they can create the work of their life. And I think once you do that, it's so my submission, and which I tell to a lot of people, a lot of parents now, is that help your children. The true goal of education is to help your children realize what are they passionate about, what do they deeply care about, what can kill them. What can kill them means that find
Stifle
something.
them.
Yeah, find something where you don't mind getting killed. And there are
मतलब कि
things.
इतना passion हो that you're ready to die for it.
Absolutely.
Innovate was a co-working space. You sold it to Oyo. It was valued pretty early on at 200 crores. पर आप तब कितने 28 साल के थे?
I was 29 when I sold it.
What did money mean to you?
Okay, interesting question. I'm a person, I don't care about money. Money for me is a lever to attain freedom. It is not an end goal. For me, money is important because I want to be free. The more free you are, the more happier you get. I don't want to be in a position where I am doing, and that was maybe one of the reasons I didn't want to raise venture capital. I wanted to build a startup which was value focused, which had a couple of angel investors, but typically majority of the company was with me. And for me, money is the only purpose of money is to help me gain freedom. My ability to go to Greenland, for example, I couldn't have gone if I was still running Innovate. So I think that is the value of money. Anything more than that is absolutely numbers and doesn't add value.
You have spoken very movingly about how, as a child, as a young person, actually you had to battle a disorder, a speech disorder. You had to battle an Asian parent syndrome. You had to battle bullying. You had to battle rejection by girls and others. I think आपने शायद बोला है कि 4 ऐसे disorders थे that made you who you are today.
Yeah.
शुरुआत करते हैं वो speech disorders से.
Sure.
What age were you when you remember or you consciously realized कि कुछ ऐसे words थे that you were stammering or not able to say as they were meant to be said?
So I think I don't remember the exact age, but मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि R as an alphabet I could not speak, and
Even
I used
though your name starts with a R.
Not only me, my dad Ravi went as Gavi, my mother Renu went as Genu, sister Ridhima went as Gidima, and my grandfather Suraj went as Sugaj, my grandmother Rajrani went as Gajgani. So I realized one thing that at early on, I realized one thing that if this continues, I will never, and that is one of the key reasons when that I told you, I'm a phenomenal speaker for a group, but in person I'm the biggest introvert. I genuinely.
How can an entrepreneur as successful as you be an introvert? ये कैसे हो सकता है?
It's actually there, and I'll tell you, when I meet new people, it's a conscious effort that I've taken. But when I meet new people, I genuinely don't like meeting new people. I'm so reserved. I really want to just go, and people a lot of times tell me that, why don't you network? And I said that it's not in my nature as a person.
सबको जानते हो.
I know people because I genuinely care for people. I don't know people that for a network. If I know you, I genuinely don't want anything from you. I genuinely want to build a lifelong relationship till I die. So for me, that is trust. And so that is why I realized if I do not say the alphabet R, my life is screwed. Because the first thing people ask me is, what's your name? And the moment it goes like Gitesh, it's not.
तो आपको जब लोग कहते थे आपका नाम क्या, आप कहते थे गितेश.
Gitesh.
जबकि आपका नाम रितेश है.
Ritesh. So
आप र नहीं बोल सकते थे.
and this is very common, by the way. I'm very grateful to my dad.
So it would come out as you couldn't process the letter, or was it a stammer or a tutlana?
ये तुतलाना था, where I could not. So you cannot say R by putting your tongue on the upper palate. I could not do that. So that was the science behind it, and I'm grateful to my dad. He spent hours with me for 6 years, and we used to do this very simple exercise. And वो चलता था, मैं ऊपर नहीं लेके जा पाता था, तो मैं बोलता था धीमे 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 धीमे. Now I can say R much better than you. I can say R. So the whole idea is that I realized that in India there are so many people who stammer, who cannot say alphabets, and they're bullied for that.
Were you bullied?
Oh, massively.
जैसे क्या क्या कहते थे बच्चे या older students?
So they used to every day come to my bench and in
school.
in the school, and they used to say, "Teri mummy ka naam kya hai?" And I used to say Genu, and then they'll specifically give me words with a lot of R's. And one day they told me that, okay, can you say a word which had like 3 R's? And then everyone used to laugh. So I just realized that this is such a big challenge. And if I do not overcome this, I will never, ever be able to be a public speaker. And I just think that typically, so this was one. I realized that confidence in our society keeps on decreasing in a human being over the period of time, because our society treats us in a very different way on our complexion, on our speech, on our ability to speak English or not. And by the way, I wasn't fluent in English because we come from a Punjabi family. My grandmother used to say speak Punjabi. And I realized that it doesn't matter. Now that I see in hindsight, फर्क नहीं पड़ता आप कहाँ से हो, आप गरीब हो अमीर हो वो नहीं फर्क पड़ता, आप गोरे हो काले हो वो नहीं फर्क पड़ता. A lot of people ask me that would you like to put some makeup on? I say, dude, I'm so comfortable with my skin. I love my skin.
Why do people ask you this? I mean, I can understand कि lights के सामने हमें बैठना है तो हम पहनते हैं makeup. But did you have any other growing up? आपको था कि मेरी शक्ल ठीक नहीं है?
My grandmother had only one thing. She said that I don't care whether your wife is educated or not, whether she's coming from a wealthy family or not. The only thing that I want is she should be purely white. I said, what kind of a nonsense is this? So it's typically ingrained in our society that having a white complexion is a good thing. And I asked her why. She said that so that your children are not dark. I said, what kind of math is this? So I'm just telling you that our society is, and their baggage is continuously being...
So what were the 4 disorders that first shook your confidence, but also in a way strengthened you? जैसे कहते हैं ना कि what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yes.
तो एक था speech disorder. उसके बाद?
Bullying. The third was typically in our family, we have 37 doctors. Honest to God, we have 37 doctors. Yes. Including my father's first cousins, we have 37 doctors. Now, in a family of 37 doctors, whenever we go out, everyone is a doctor. And if you do not want to become a doctor, you're just labeled as a black sheep. So for me, one of the biggest challenges was how to convince them that I'm passionate about economics and behavioral sciences. And the moment I told everyone, and they were so hell-bent, they said, we will not even allow you to take math in 11th so that you don't pursue engineering. So I had to take biology, I had to become a doctor. But I realized one thing that, and this is in countries of India, Vietnam, China, all these Southeast Asian countries have the same challenge.
Which is?
Following your footsteps of your parents, because...
I think you've called it the Asian parenting syndrome.
Yes. What happens is, as parents, now I can realize, we don't want our children to take the difficult path.
तो उनको protect करने के process में हम उनको stifle करते हैं.
India is the only country in the world, along with China, where penetration of family businesses is the highest. The reason is, they don't want their children to go through something which is hard. So that is why, and their intent, there's no one who can love you more than your parents. Their intent is absolutely pure. But inadvertently, they don't realize that they are meddling with your life and your passion. So I think...
so that was the third disorder, which is parental pressure.
Yes.
Fourth?
Fourth is very interesting. It's very simple. We are all a product of Bollywood. बचपन से है ना, like from Shahrukh Khan is my favorite actor in the world. Now, when you see that in Bollywood, and especially I used to love South Indian films because I was in South India for my medicine. I used to, in a village called Teni. It's on the border of Kerala, South and Tamil Nadu. It's a very remote village. And I realized वहाँ पे very average looking people, worse than I am, used to get most beautiful South Indian women. And I said that, यार उनको हो सकता है तो रितेश तेरे को क्यों नहीं हो सकता? So this is actually called the face not pretty syndrome, where you feel that, and also the Bollywood syndrome. We are motivated only by a Bollywood, cricket, politics and religion. Unfortunately, 95% of all news is this. So, and that's a very interesting story. But I proposed 19 girls because I had this bias for action. I said, जीवन में तरक्की करनी है ना रितेश, एक्शन लो. आप बहुत सारी बार होगा क्या कि आप ना सोचते रह जाओगे, जो सोचते रह जाते हैं ना वो सोचते रह जाते हैं.
आपने 19 बारी प्रपोज किया.
हाँ, मतलब आई लाइक यू किसी को बोला,
मतलब कि यू एक्सप्रेस्ड इंटरेस्ट इन 19 women.
Yes. And all 19 said no.
फिर
and unfortunately they said no.
But you can laugh about it today, but it must have felt terrible then.
Oh yes, absolutely. And I realized that helped me in accepting rejection. Once you become thick-skinned for rejection, oh my God, you can do anything. And now, at this point in time, as Steve Jobs rightly says, you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You always connect the dots looking backward. At this point in time, my job is to just form a dot. I don't know how they will be connecting. So that helped me take rejection. Today, I can take rejection and I'm not bothered by anything. Like I've realized one thing, that life is fragile. The idea is bias for action today. That's the most important thing that I have learned. And these are, and while today, why I made these 4 disorders was because the moment I tell someone my story, they get bored. The moment you tell that I have 4 disorders.
So, चौथा disorder क्या है?
The face not pretty syndrome, the
face
Bollywood.
Not pretty syndrome.
Yeah, the Bollywood syndrome, where we have so many, and this is just a satirical way to actually tell people that don't be bothered about the result, about the outcome. Be bothered about what you have in your control. That is input.
And the 20th time you proposed, you married?
I did not propose. It was my parents arranged it. Okay. So the good part is she's much better than the other 19. So well, I'm fortunate.
Done. What is the biggest mistake you've made as an entrepreneur?
A lot of them. I think a lot of them. The biggest mistake I've made is not hiring without culture match. I think that is something which is, because we don't build cultures, and especially for a person like me who had no background in entrepreneurship, starting a business, learning these newer concepts. I think that was one. The second one,
you have to find people who think like you.
Yes, I think
it's very difficult. I always say, even in our small team when we hire, we always discuss that you can teach people skills, but you can't teach them attitude.
Yes. So one thing which I always tell people is, while hiring, there are 4 types of people: high skill, high will; high skill, low will; low skill, low will; and low skill, high will. I always find people who are low skill, high will, because
hunger is everything.
Hunger is everything. And in this day and age, you can learn skills very quickly.
Because of tech.
Yes. Second, they will not leave you. If you have taught something, and on top of this layer, I have this framework called the integrity framework. I don't care about skill. For me, low skill, high will, but high integrity is very important. People with integrity will make mountains move.
But it isn't easy to find people like that.
It's very hard. Yeah.
Then?
So I think building your culture, and then and that's why we've started spending time first. I've decided for hiring, people lie, unfortunately, on their CVs. Everyone lies. Yes. I've realized one thing: for hiring, what you do is you spend a lot of time. Don't go by the words that the other person is saying. Go by the actions. Go by the way that person is talking to the waiter. Go by the way he's being chivalrous toward a woman. Go by the way he's or she is behaving in a tough situation. Do mock-ups. One thing which works actually is play a sport with the person. He might or she might lie for 6 hours. You play a sport for 30 minutes.
Your mask falls.
And people start just throwing bricks here and there. So I think get people under stress and they will show you their true self.
Interesting. Now, you have started, along with some other very interesting people, a university, Plaksha, focused on science and technology and research and innovation. It's a brilliant space to occupy. This comes at a time when there's so much debate around our education system. Textbooks को लेके politics है, history आप क्या पढ़ाते हैं उसको लेके politics है, evolution है या नहीं उसको लेके politics है, गांधी जी को लेके politics है. हर सरकार के साथ एक अपनी politics आती है कि क्या delete होना चाहिए, क्या पढ़ाया जाना चाहिए. You must have been following that debate. As now someone in education, How do you look at the debate around what we should be teaching our children?
Sure. There are two spinal cords of a particular nation. The first one is healthcare infrastructure. The second one is education. If you want to change a nation, just do these two things and you will be talking to a nation that is different. I think in India today, what we need is, I'm glad the NEP has been launched. The new education policy, hopefully, if implemented well, can be a big maverick change for our nation. I think when it comes to education, we are creating, unfortunately, a survey said, out of the 1.5 million engineers being created, only 72,000 are employable engineers. The challenge is, what is the purpose of education? If I talk to you, the purpose of education is not to impart a particular concept to a student. It is to impart a particular non-repeatable concept to a student. And how I mean with that is, and a lot of, in fact, I went to a small city in India without naming the institution, a private institution, large number of branches. And they said, did you read today's newspaper? I said no. He got me the newspaper. उन्होंने कहा आप ये देखिए हमारे बच्चे इतनी सारी कंपनीज में हमने नौकरी लगवा दी. तो मैंने कहा व्हाट इज योर सक्सेस मेट्रिक? कहते हैं हमारा एक ही सक्सेस मेट्रिक है, 100 बच्चे हम लेते हैं, 100 के 100 की हम नौकरी लगवा देते हैं. आई सेड दैट्स द वर्स्ट मेट्रिक. दैट मीन्स दैट यू आर प्रोड्यूसिंग people who only follow orders. You are producing managers. You are not producing leaders. And for me, education is, and a lot of parents talk to us at Plaksha, what does education mean for you? And I always give them this sample that just imagine in 2061, you might not be there, I might not be there. Your son or daughter is there. When she exits in 2026, can she use the same knowledge that she earned in 4 years to apply to a very different world in 2061? That is education. And those will be fundamental things. One book, one subject. हमारे ना स्कूल में एक सब्जेक्ट जो हमारे को टीचर कहती थी, आप हिस्ट्री पढ़ो, सब कुछ पढ़ो. एक सब्जेक्ट कहती थी हम आपको चीटिंग करना अलाउ करेंगे. तो आई सेड which subject is that? And that was value sciences, moral sciences. That is the most important. What we can learn from kindergarten is very basic things. Make a line. In India, not even a single line. You go to the airport, there'll be 7 lines. Different people going in and everyone wants to just rush and break a line. These are very basic disciplines, and this is what an educated man or woman looks like. So for me, education is very different. How you treat other people. For me, education is, can you help someone? For me, education is, can you be environmentally conscious? I just feel so different about climate. I just feel that something is so prevalent in front of our eyes.
And we're denying it. Let's talk a little bit about the future. In fact, let's talk about the present. Artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, OpenAI. Yes, and at a time when climate change is threatening cataclysmic changes, human beings being able to manage technology is also a big conversation for both the present and the future. I always think if you don't embrace technology, it's going to leave you behind. Today, when you see the debate around AI possibly creating redundancy, leading to mass layoffs, leading to broken social relationships, a changed workplace, how do you look at it?
I'm scared, honestly speaking. While I am a big proponent of AI, I just feel that the only way to adopt AI into our societies today is to completely revamp education. Because 80 crore jobs are going to be lost by 2030. Just 7 years, not even a decade. 80 crore jobs
will be lost because
of Industry 4.0. I call this the Nari syndrome. It's nanotechnology, artificial intelligence and machine learning, robotics, Internet of Things, electric vehicle ecosystem, climate change technologies, biosciences, 3D printing, and 5G, 6G, 7G. 80 crore jobs are going to be redundant because of these. But the good part is that 60 crore new jobs are going to be created. The challenge is we don't have people who are ready for taking these 60 crore jobs. While AI will lead the humanity to go forward, the only thing that we need to be bothered about is, are we able to create individuals who can suffice these 60 crore jobs? Else India will be a country which will be deeply impacted by AI.
You're an angel investor among the many other things you are. Are there certain spaces that you think will never be redundant? Are there certain professions, careers, businesses? You were saying to me before we started this conversation that you don't find medicine a scalable profession. Why?
See, wherever you...
Human beings will always need doctors.
So the first question is that, is it a profession which will give you a comfortable lifestyle? Yes.
Okay.
But my definition of building a business is, can I sell it? Can you run a business without you being involved in the business? My father cannot, if tomorrow, God forbid, my father dies, he will not be able to earn the same amount of money. If I die, my progeny will be able to make the same amount of money because I'm building a business. For me, definition of a business is, can you build a business which is repeatable, which is scalable without your involvement?
But aren't hospitals scalable?
Hospitals are, but professionals aren't, doctors aren't. So my worry is not with the hospitals. It's more with the professional doctors. My dad sees patients for 10 hours a day. And I'm semi-retired. So I'm just telling you that for me, that is something.
You're not retired.
At least I'm not operating any business as
because
of now.
You're investing and then
Yes.
letting them be run professionally. So therefore my question, कौन सी वो professions हैं जो आपको लगता है AI आए, AI जाए, human beings will always be needed, those professions will outlast change?
You see history, one profession which will, example I'm just giving you is the profession of change. And I call this is every single day, there's no profession in the world which will not change. Every profession. You've seen journalism. Oh my
हमारा
God.
तो बिल्कुल ही बदल गया.
Oh my God. You've seen journalism.
आज के time पे anyone with a phone and mobile data is possibly a journalist.
Now just imagine, if I'm just counter asking you a question. If Barkha Dutt did not change, would she be here? The answer is no. There have been so many journalists who have not been able to sustain. And I think the reason that you're sustaining is because you've changed. You have created your own platform. You have ensured that your voice reaches the right people via so many social media platforms. So I think your ability to change has helped you. So I think for me personally, example, medical imaging. Now, radiologists, there's a very high chance in the next 7 years, radiologists will start earning less because machines will be able to predict an X-ray much faster.
Right.
So I think like this, machines eventually, whether we like it or not, will start doing our job. Anyone who has the ability to critically think will win the race. So the idea is, can you critically think?
And you can't be change resistant.
You can.
So I'll tell you something I was very sort of resistant to, and I changed my mind about it once I entered the digital space, was that I decided I will be on every social media platform. तो पहले मैं Instagram पे नहीं इतने active थी. TikTok is now banned. I didn't have a TikTok account. And there was a time when I used to think, okay, this is for young people. This is not for me. And then I realized that I'm actually foregoing some possible audiences here, and I have to find different ways to reach different audiences. But you, I know, are not a fan of social media. In fact, you've said that one of the ways that you keep yourself productive is to minimize your consumption of social media. Yes. Talk about that.
So for me, social media...
And news.
And news, yes. So this is very interesting. I was talking to Nancy Gibbs, and phenomenal journalist, and she said, we did a survey. We said 30 people watch Fox, 30 people watch CNN, 30 people don't consume anything. And one thing that worked was Group C, which was 30 people. They were the happiest. I think news per se is a source of negativity for me personally. I don't know how other people look at it. Whenever I open news, oh my God, journalists shouting on the top of their voice. As such, I have so much commotion in my life. I want peace. I do not want to know.
But people might say that you're hiding from the truth.
The question is, what is truth? For me, we don't know truth. There might be a parallel universe right now. So I think very critically about truth. I just feel that I need to consume positive content. For me, positive content is ideas, innovation, ideas, what's happening in the world, learning from history, reading books. That helps me be a better human being each day.
You've also said that how you Google, कि आप क्या search करते हैं, can really transform your energy from good to bad.
Absolutely.
What is the one thing you tell young people or old people कि इस पे time मत ज़ाया करना?
I can tell you a person by searching his or her Google history. What you search defines you. So for me, one of the key Google trends, so there's a platform Google Trends where I keep following in every innovation in the world. My job as humans, we are negative by nature.
Yes.
We need to consciously make ourselves positive. And that is by focusing on ideas rather than people. I hate gossiping about people. I hate, the whole idea is, can we take the humanity forward? And for me, social media is the time spent which is away from my daughter. So for me, social media is brilliant as for other people who are using it for promoting my content, my company maybe.
So how many hours a day do you keep your phone away from you?
At least 3 to 4 hours away. At least.
जब कुछ नहीं. And not counting the time you're sleeping.
No, of course not. Yeah.
And you said Google search tells you everything about yourself. So what is the one thing you would tell people? Bhai, is pe time mat waste karna searching this.
Okay.
A lot of people want to see what people are saying about pornography.
I believe that these things are like cocaine. Unfortunately, in our country today, as a country, we have 82 crore users in India who are digitally connected today, growing massively. 122 crore internet connections. We are the largest digital democracy in the world. Unfortunately, at the age of 13, by just click of a particular button stating that you are above the age of 18, our youth is getting addicted to pornography at a very young age. In America, 53% of internet first time is on iPad or on MacBook or on desktops with proper internet. From their schools, they have their entire internet controls.
Yeah.
But in India, 99.99% first time is on mobile with no control. So I'm just worried our youth should be, and it's worse than cocaine, by the way. So I just feel that
the internet or social media unregulated is like cocaine.
It's a very debatable topic, but I just feel that social media is still all right because they have still controlled some of it. But internet and they really need to figure out some ways, at least have an Aadhaar card or putting something in, because access to this content, in my opinion, can be very bad, because I have gone to villages and I've seen the hard side of it.
What about searching for what people are saying about you? Everybody says karna nahi chahiye, everybody does it.
Everybody does it. So I will be the last person to say that. But
there is great potential negativity in that.
Yes. I think you learn a lot or you take feedbacks. It's good. But don't spend overthinking about what other people think about you. 90% actually don't think and 10% are happy that you are getting down. So the whole idea is what people think about you is none of your business.
At 28, you had invested in 41 companies. How many have you invested in totally now?
I have lost count, but it's 150 and above.
150 companies.
Yes.
What makes you decide whether to invest in somebody or something?
Can I go for a lunch or a trip to Mussoorie or Shimla with that person and the family?
So the personal connection is very important.
Very important. And also, is this an idea which can be very impactful? Example, Joe Stocks. The idea was very impactful. Today, Joe Stocks does 300 million views every single month. For me, if this works, example, Ather Energy, electric bikes, example, Agnikul, space technology. I just want to see that, are we contributing something? And for me, for-profit impact businesses, I believe, are amazing. I'm not a big fan of not-for-profit alone.
So in the end, Ritesh, let's talk about some lessons and learnings. If there's one thing you had to do differently today, what would that be? Would you still have done that medical degree?
No.
You think it was a waste?
Not a waste. A lot of people call me because of my medical degree, but I just feel that I would have started. I didn't want to do graduation. I didn't want to go to college. So I think I would have not gone to college.
At all?
At all, yes.
What would you have done after school?
I would have started a business.
Right after school?
Right after.
And today, to parents, you'd say if your child wants to do it, let them do it? Or would you say at least get a degree?
No, do it if you want to. See, you
if
can.
your child grew up and said,
I don't want her to take a degree.
she said to you, कि मुझे नहीं पढ़ना.
Absolutely.
What age would she be old enough for you to say, okay, you're old enough to decide?
I am already even now, because I know for a fact that her learning, my learning between, I was working at Gangaram Hospital at 23. When I quit Gangaram Hospital, I genuinely didn't like getting up in the morning and going to the surgery ward to do a gallbladder surgery. I used to assist and I used to hate it. Now the question is, once you go out in America, you have this habit of sending your children out. Do you know, kangaroo children get eaten very quickly because they are always in the pouch. They don't know how to fight for it. And giraffes, the moment the baby is born, the mother kicks the baby. And the baby is like, why are you kicking me? And she says that this is important for you. And giraffes don't get eaten up. The whole idea is that
set your children
free. Have them go through hardships. I think that is the only way to and it's harder. It's actually very hard to do, but it's very
You've invested in 150 companies at a time when people are not really writing the obituaries of the startup world, but saying कि भाई things are not so hunky-dory. 75% less money has come in the first quarter of 2023 compared to 2022. That we could be, not just India, but globally be heading for another version of the .com bust. Are you concerned?
I think this is the best thing. In hindsight, when we will see this is the best thing. Our startups were on a cocaine. Yeah. They really needed fact check. They really need reality check. Now what is going to, and entrepreneurs follow what is being rewarded. Now that profitability will be rewarded, out of 108 unicorns, 22 were positive last year. That's abysmal for a country like India. We need to have at least 90% of our startups generating profits. Now what is going to happen is in the coming days, you are going to see a lot of startups decreasing their losses. And I think this is so important. And in hindsight, I'm bullish. I'm long on India. I'm long on startup ecosystem globally. I have invested in YC companies. I just feel that technology is going to engulf all of us. And this is a huge wealth creation opportunity. But founders need a reality check. And this is happening. And I'm glad that this is happening. In the next 5 years, we'll see that everything will be fine.
Before we let you go, what is your definition of a successful entrepreneur?
For me personally, I don't know about other people. Success is an outcome of happiness. For me, success is not important. It's actually happiness. And happiness is an outcome of humility and doing the right thing. I think these two things really matter a lot.
How far is the reality from Shark Tank?
It's actually very far. I think Shark Tank is a brilliant platform to engage India. But I truly believe that entrepreneurship is hard. It's really hard. A lot of people start by seeing these kind of platforms, which is great, but reality is very different. I think unless you are don't start a business because someone else is starting. A lot of people have FOMO कि नहीं यार, I'm missing out, मेरे दोस्त ने चालू कर दिया. Don't start because of it. The only right reason to start a business is that you deeply care about a problem. Deeply care. And I'll tell you how I started my business. I used to go to Starbucks, and as moneyless entrepreneurs, what we used to do is, I used to love a coffee called Java Chip. Now, I used to enter Starbucks in Hamilton House CP. I used to take a very long extension cord with me. वो कोने बरिस्टा के वहाँ से कोने में मैं लगाता था और वो पूरी तार लटका के अपने यहाँ पे बैठ के काम करता था. पहले 2 घंटा काम करता था, फिर जावा चिप लेता था, फिर उसके बाद 2 घंटा काम करता था. बरिस्टा यूज्ड टू स्टेयर एट मी कि कब जाएगा, मेरी सीट लेके बैठा हुआ है. एंड आई रियलाइज्ड, कैन वी क्रिएट अ स्टारबक्स टाइप ऑफ एन एनवायरनमेंट फॉर एंटरप्रेन्योर्स व्हिच इज 24/7, like-minded people coming, and it is just like $100 a month. You don't need to just buy coffees and all. So and that was a genuine challenge that I had. My first office was in Noida 63. Electricity नहीं आती थी, AC नहीं चलता था, पानी लीक होता था, and वहाँ पे ना ट्रेंड था उस टाइम पे 8 घंटे पानी नहीं आएगा. What the hell? What kind of country are we living? पानी नहीं आएगा यहाँ पे. So I realized that can we create an office space which is productive, inspiring. So that was a genuine problem that I cared about. Now a lot of investors tell me कि यार अब जब चालू करोगे $10 million का seed check ready है. I said I need to find that problem. Do I deeply care about something?
Yeah.
And that is the only way I will be successful.
So what is the one business or project that you always wanted to be associated with, जो अभी तक नहीं हुआ? The unfinished dream.
I've been very fortunate. Whatever I want, honestly speaking, I'm
next क्या करना है?
हाँ, वो मैं आपको बताता हूँ, बट आई टेल यू आई एम वेरी ग्रेटफुल बिकॉज जितना मैंने कभी नहीं सोचा था उससे ज़्यादा पैसा है, जितना नहीं सोचा था उससे ज़्यादा दोस्त हैं. तो आई थिंक आई एम वेरी ब्लेस्ड दैट वेज. वन अनफिनिश्ड थिंग दैट आई रियली वॉन्ट टू डू इज टू create a trust for investing into changing climate change. Like climate is something which I deeply care about, and it's a shame that we are not talking about climate. It should be on hoardings everywhere. Like we are seeing our AQI is amongst the worst in the world, and still we are not realizing we don't have EV infrastructure today. Until and unless, and everyone, and I'm asthmatic. I'm telling you, it's so hard to be in Delhi during Diwali. What kind of an ecosystem are we living in? So I think one thing which is very clear is that for my daughter, I don't want to leave I don't care about her daughter, but at least for my daughter, I don't want to leave a nation, a planet which is creating so much of particulate matter, which is not good for our health.
Well, Ritesh, I'll tell you one thing. For a man who calls himself an introvert, in this city where nobody says a good thing about anybody else, the one universally liked and loved public figure that I have come across is you. So many, many congratulations for all that you've achieved. And thank you for talking to us.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.